Hey everybody, it's Ike and
Christine. Hi.
And welcome to episode number 31. It's going to be a short one. State's still all screwed up. We're still in lockdown, all kinds of weird stuff. Beer challenge time. We got a beer today. And it's called Clown Shoes.
Don't fear the blender.
And what you're hearing, it's thundering. It's thundering outside and it's getting ready to rain. So that's usually really good for EVPs. So hopefully we'll catch some EVPs here. That'd be nice. So, Clown Shoes, don't fear the blender. Not really sure where this came from.
I bought it 100%. I love the pun.
Oh, so you bought it. Well, let's give it a try then. Roast?
Roast. It's not the worst, but it's not the best.
It's an IPA. It's definitely an IPA. It tastes just like most IPAs.
It's a little bit more gentle than a regular IPA.
I don't think so. I'm gonna give it a 5.
Yeah. I don't know what I expected.
Can't win them all.
There you go. Don't buy based on the label.
It's not the looks. It's what's inside. So shout outs, as usual, go to Mr. Larry Lawson and Chris Huff, Indian River Hauntings. They're taking a break right now. They'll be back in August, I'm thinking. I think that's what I heard. With their live streaming show on YouTube every Tuesday, 5 o'clock our time, New Mexico time, Mountain Standard. Good show, check it out. I kind of miss it.
Yeah.
I got used to watching it all the time. I need to hurry up and get back on there. So today's episode, we're going to talk a little bit about something that just kind of snuck up on me here recently. I keep getting reminded about this incident I had on TV. So I was watching Survivor Man, Les Stroud, and he's telling a story about how him and his wife, when they were younger, spent an entire year up in the mountains, camping, I guess, or camping, they're living out there. But he says that one night they're in a tent, and he hears footsteps walking up towards the tent. And he says he didn't want to look outside because it was definitely something really heavy, and it was bipedal. It was up on 2 legs, and it was heavy footsteps coming towards him. He says they walked up to the tent and then turned and walked away. He says he didn't really want to know what it was at the time. But he knows it wasn't a moose or an elk or a bear, or grizzly, any of that stuff. This guy spent a lifetime out there listening to stuff. And he says whatever it was, walked upright and was very big. So I watched that like 2 weeks ago and I'm like, interesting. So last week I'm watching, I can't think of the guy's channel, but he's got a YouTube channel. He's a Canadian. And he also looking for Sasquatch all the time. You can tell it's a Sasquatch topic. Look at the shirt. And he has the same story. He's out there by himself, miles and miles and miles away from civilization. And he's in his tent and he gets woken up by heavy footsteps coming towards him. And he's in the same boat. He's like, this is something big. This is something on 2 legs. It's walking up on me. I don't really know what to do. Even though he's out Sasquatch hunting. At 2 o'clock in the morning, you kind of, the bravery kind of leaves you, especially if you're by yourself. So he also didn't look. He said he just waited for the worst. He waited for his tent to get ripped apart and get drug out. It's weird. It's a weird phenomenon. So you have 2 experienced mountaineering people. One of them's actually out looking for a Sasquatch. And they finally get the opportunity early in the morning, and they do nothing about it. It makes you wonder, like, why? Well, why don't you do anything about it? But this reminds me of my story. So back in 2016, a feller named Adolfo, his nickname is Dolphin. I used to work with him, and he invited me to go hiking up in Colorado in the Collegiate Mountains, and the Collegiate Mountain Range. And the specific mountain we were going to summit was Mount Princeton. All of these peaks are 14,000 feet plus, super high.
Nothing to sniff at.
No, I was completely ill-prepared for this. I thought I was in pretty good shape. I run all the time. But the lack of air kind of something I didn't consider. Anyway, we decided to go summit this mountain, and we leave the day before we're going to summit. And it's a tiny little tiny little road. And I have a video. I made a video. It's on my other channel. And at the bottom of this page, I'll have a link on YouTube that you can check it out. It's kind of a fun video. But we climb up this steep mountain road, and finally it just turns into nothing, and you can't go any further. And there's barely a place to park. I mean, my Jeep was parked on an incline, and literally it's like 30 feet wide, and on the right side is a cliff, and on the left side is a cliff, and going forward it's just like straight up. So we set up tent and get ready for the night. Get up early in the morning so we can hit this mountain peak. It's like a 9-mile trail, I believe. And so we go to sleep, and it's about, I remember what time it was because I was wearing my watch. And it was around 1:30 or 2 o'clock. I get woken up by heavy footsteps, and they're crunching gravel steps. They're like crunch, 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 stop, crunch, crunch. And they're coming directly at my tent. So I wake up, I'm listening to it for a second, and initially I'm thinking, somebody's getting a pretty damn early start going up this mountain. So I'm fishing around for my gun, my firearm. It's laying in the tent loose behind me somewhere, and it's dark, so I'm padding around. I finally find it, and I get sitting up in my sleeping bag, and I'm just listening. These steps come right up to my tent, and it's like, I can't emphasize enough how heavy these steps are. It's like crunch, 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 right up to my tent. It is pitch dark. Now, being an ex-police officer, or always a police officer, once a police officer, always a police officer, I should have just ripped the door open and stuck my barrel in somebody's ear.
Should have, yeah.
And said,
"Good morning.
How's it going? Getting an early start climbing that mountain or what?" But oddly enough, I just sat there and waited. And just like the other guy said in his video, I was waiting for something to rip my damn door open and peek inside. So I'm sitting there listening, and the footsteps just stopped. I heard them come up to my tent, and then they were gone. I'm like, okay. Maybe it was just some hiker coming up the trail in the pitch dark. There was also no light. You'd think some guy hiking up this mountain trail with cliffs on all sides would have a light.
Yep.
I didn't see any lights. That's an afterthought. I didn't think of that until like the next day. But steps go away, so I'm laying in my sleeping bag. I'm scratching my head. I'm kind of exhausted. We're at 11,000 feet. So the air's already pretty thin there. And did you hear that on the headphones? There's some weird sound.
All I heard was the thunder.
Maybe it was thunder. Anyway, I finally end up going to sleep. We get up about 6 in the morning, and Dolphin gets up, and I remember asking him, like, dude, did you hear any weird footsteps last night? And he didn't. I'm like, I tried to mimic the sounds, just paying attention by me walking. It's kind of hard-packed, gravelly trail there, and I couldn't imitate that sound. I was stomping real loud. I was trying to walk real big steps. I couldn't do it. I'm not heavy enough to make those sounds. Whatever made those footsteps was really, really heavy, and it was upright on 2 legs because it was step, 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 step.
And in fairness, you're fairly big. You're no small person.
Are you saying I'm fat?
Maybe.
Okay, well, I couldn't crunch the ground like whatever that thing was. I crunched it. And I thought about it, as we were hiking up the mountain, and spoiler alert, I didn't make it. I got to about 13,000 feet, and I just got this huge headache. I usually don't get headaches, and I had a headache so bad it was hurting my eyes. And I was upset stomach. I felt like throwing up. I just felt like crap. And I told Dolphin, I'm like, go ahead, dude, I need to turn around and head back down the lower, thicker air. Because literally in some places, the trail is 1.5 feet wide, and there's a 1,000-foot drop off on one side and a sheer cliff on the other. And that's the last place you want to be sick or dizzy. Mm-hmm. And what tipped me off to it is I was tripping a lot, and then finally I fell and broke my glasses, and I'm thinking, why am I stumbling so much? And half the trail is not really a trail, it's just scree, rocks, boulders, and you're just constantly climbing, and there's not a level spot anywhere. It's continuously, a very steep 30-degree, 40-degree angle. It never stops. So I made the wiser decision, and I think it was because of my spirit animal. Mm-hmm. He is going to be right there. my spirit animal appeared and said, dude, you're not looking too good. You might want to turn around and head back home. And which I did. And it probably took me 3.5 hours to get back to base camp. And I wobbled in and just freaking collapsed. And I started feeling better as I was coming down. Once I got back down to about 11 and a half, I started feeling a lot better, more air. I had air to screw with you. So in retrospect, I had altitude sickness, which happens to a lot of people. Being that we slept at 11,000 feet, you're already depriving your body of oxygen all night long trying to sleep, and then you try to summit a 14,000 foot peak. So a lesson learned. One of these days I'll do it again and do it right, probably.
Yep, that's the way to do it.
But if you ever camped and heard heavy footsteps coming towards you, and oddly enough you didn't do anything about it, or maybe you did, get a hold of us, tell us. I used to hunt when I was younger and spent a lot of time in the mountains and used to log when I was younger. But I've never had that experience until that one trip to Colorado. It was pretty freaking weird.
Yeah, really.
It was good times. Good times being sick and almost attacked by Sasquatch.
Not even realizing it.
Awesome times. So, anyway. Okay, on a different note, before we started this video, we've been getting a lot of scuttle about the app on your phone, Randonautica. And I even had a fellow ask me to do an episode on it. So I'm like, meh. So I did a little research, and it's a very busy app. I mean, there's like literally millions of people have downloaded this app on their phone. And the premise is, it locks onto your GPS coordination. So the coordinate tells you where you are. And then after pushing a bunch of buttons, you're supposed to think of something that you're wanting to find. Like a haunted house, dead body,
skeleton, graveyard,
treasure, whatever. And supposedly it takes that information and sends it to a supercomputer somewhere and comes up with a random coordinates for you that you need to go investigate. Sounds kind of hokey, but then we use spirit boxes, and people may laugh at that too.
Yeah, you can't judge that kind of stuff. There's no way to really know.
People laugh at all kinds of stuff, so you don't know unless you try. And even researching it, there was a couple I think in California, but they played it, and it sent them to the beach, a rocky beach, and there was a suitcase, and there was a body stuffed inside the suitcase, cut up inside the suitcase. So,
excuse me?
Yeah, could have been.
Whoa.
Could have been just sheer weirdness or whatever.
What were they thinking?
Good question. But we tried it 3 times, and it was a bust. Twice it sent us to private property, and it pinpoints on Google Earth where you're supposed to go. And both of them were like open fields on private property that you could see. So maybe there's something buried there. Who knows? But
there's no way to check it.
We're not going to trespass.
No, we're not about that.
The third one we were thinking of maybe something really haunted, like send us to some place that's really spooky haunted. And once again, it sent us to just the middle of a field on state property, which maybe is really haunted. 2 o'clock in the morning, who knows? But it wasn't very haunted for us. So I'm going to say that app's a bust.
For now.
We tried it 3 times, and it's kind of wishy-washy, and we left it at that. So, hey, try it out. If you have any success, if you've used it and it had something weird happen, send us a line on idkparanormal at gmail.com. And if it's a good story, we'll mention it.
And if you guys want us to go out and test it, we can maybe do a full episode on it.
Yeah. Remember, if we use your story, you get a sticker.
We got stickers.
And also our subscriber count is, I think, 357 right now.
Yeah.
So it's creeping upwards again. That's pretty badass. I like it. Appreciate you guys watching these videos. I can't believe you're actually watching them. So it's not that pretty cool. 357. That's it's not a mega channel, but 357 people have watched this, so can't go wrong with that.
We feel proud of it.
We would hope that some of you guys would step forward. And yes, I'm talking to you.
You.
I know. What'd you say? You're watching us. We're watching whoever you said.
We're watching you, watching us, watching you, watching us.
Exactly. So don't be scared. Come forth with your story. If you want to remain anonymous, I can set you right there between us. And we'll put a little fuzzy thing over your face.
Like a little bar, a little rainbow, whatever you like.
And you can tell your story, and nobody's going to think you're crazy. And the sheriff or the chief's not going to send you to have a psyche eval, re-psyche eval. You're safe.
We'll replace all names. We're good.
We'll even give you a little nickname. Whatever you want to be called. So, All right, guys. Well, stay curious. Keep your eyes open. There's weird stuff out there that nobody can explain. People try, but nobody knows what the hell's going on. Just keep your eyes open, and thanks for watching.
Yeah.
See you next time. Bye.
Bye.